What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? And apparently, this was not mentioned in like the developers' notes or the live stream for 5.5, but we do have 4 new artifact sets that be added to the Strongbox. We're gonna talk about them and whether you should use them or whether you should like get pieces for these sets, depending on who you have. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about them. All right, so before we do that, right, before I talk about the sets, let's just talk about the trend that Genshin does with their artifact sets. So generally they release about 3 per cycle. I count like the cycle like from 0.0 to like 0.8. So like for Fontaine was like 4.0 to 4.8, right? Generally they release 3 sets, one at the beginning and then they spread it out like in this case for Fontaine it's 4.3 and 4.6, right? And the sets that come afterwards tend to be a little bit more niche. For example, you look at the Marechaussee and the Golden Troop, very universal for the Fontaine mechanics. And then we come to like the Sumeru sets, which was very focused on Dendro and EM, right? You have the Deep Wood and Guildermans were absolutely fantastic. And even for like Inazuma, at least for the Emblem of Seventh Fate, was very ER related, right? The emblem was a very good set. And you can see that with the Netland sets as well, where the Obsidian Codex and the Cinder City are very, very good universal sets for like Netland characters especially. And then the sets that come out are very niche. And so we talk about these 4 sets because they tend to be a little bit more niche in like what characters you want to use them for. That being said, if you do own these characters because they're in the Strongbox right now, you may want to actually like pivot depending on what artifacts you have built on them. Now, 3 of these sets are DPS sets. So to start it off, let's just talk about the 1 support healer set, which is the Songs of Days Past. 2-piece set, healing bonus plus 15%, actually pretty nice for like your healer characters that you're running on 2-piece. For example, I run Charlotte on 2-piece attack, 2-piece healing bonus. So that's really, really nice. Especially for players who want to mix and match and don't want to really worry about the 4-piece sets. And then when it comes to the actual 4-piece passive, very, very long as you guys can see, but let's break it down. Right, basically whenever the character that has the set heals anyone in the party, you will trigger this effect called the Yearning effect. It lasts for 6 seconds, and during that 6 seconds it records the amount of healing that is done, right? It also includes overflow healing from like when you have Furina's ultimate up. So what happens is that once that 6 seconds is up, the yearning, whatever you have recorded, the amount of healing, which is up to 15,000 as mentioned at the bottom, right? That number will be transformed into another effect called the Waves of Days Past, which lasts for 10 seconds. What happens is that during those 10 seconds, all your attacks will have increased, or when you ever use any of your abilities, right, that hits an opponent, you will increase your damage by 8%, and that can stack up to 5 times, which means 40%. That being said, because the healing is up to 15,000, generally each stack is about 1,200, right? And then at the full 5 stacks, that means it's 6,000 damage. It's not really just like flat 6,000. It is flat 6,000, but of course you put it through the multiplier and everything, the damage formula, it varies. And this damage only affects the active character. Now, so here's the thing about this set. It's okay, right? You heal more so you can have your main DPS do more damage. It's generally okay on like characters that aren't attack scaling. For example, your Moalani and your Nivelettes are all HP scaling characters. Your Ito is a defense scaling character, for example. That being said, for those teams, they will also appreciate sets that are a lot more universal, a lot more supportive to multiple elements as well. For example, like Shen Yun could use that set, but Shen Yun also can use the Veridescent Venera set for the nice elemental res shreds when she swirls. And of course, you have your Tenacity of the Millilith. You also have your you can find it, your Noblesse sets, which is very nice on characters like Bennett. And even for like your Yao Yaos and your Baijus, like Deepwood is also pretty good on them. So it's gonna be very interesting. That like technically it can be good, but there are also other sets that are also a lot more universal. For me, when I look at a set, if they can be, I try, especially because we don't have loadouts, which please have loadouts, Genshin. Because we don't have loadouts, I don't really like to change my artifacts that much. And so, you know, generally I would prefer, like, you know, for my Shenyuns, for example, to have a set that can be used on multiple teams. So generally, wouldn't really recommend to steal Strongbox for this. I'll still recommend you Strongbox for other things, but the 2-piece is actually pretty decent. So if you want to, you can always get a few pieces for your mix and for you to mix and match your two-piece combos with. Now let's go on to the second one that also came out alongside Songs of Days Past in 4.3. We have the Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods. This plus the other two they will mention later, the 2-piece are all plus 18s. For this Whispers Nighttime set in particular is mainly catered towards Geo characters. When you use the elemental skill, you gain 20% Geo damage bonus for 10 seconds, and whenever you gain a shield via Crystallize, this 20% will increase by 150%. So it is not 20% plus 150 to get 170. It is not that, right? It is basically 150% of 20%, which is effectively 50%. So what this means is that when you scale, you get 20% geo damage bonus, and when you gain a crystallize, you'll get 50%. All right, so it's not 150% plus 20, it is 50%. It is a pretty decent set for 3 characters in general, and obviously the one character that people are worried from this for is a Navia. For me, I do like Navia, and I'm actually waiting for this set to go to the Strongbox to actually, like, you know, build her up and build up a little bit higher, that can have bigger numbers. So yeah, generally the other 2 characters are obviously Geo Traveler and what's the name? Geo Traveler and Ningguang, who are Geo characters that use their skill. And of course they're also attack scaling, so they benefit from the 2-piece as well. So generally, unless you're a Navia main, I wouldn't really recommend building up the set. Yes, you can use Ningguang, but it's not going to change a lot. Like, Ningguang is not going to be an S tier unit because of this, and so is Geo Traveler. So yeah, generally, like I said, you know, this is pretty good for people who want Navia. It is like by far her best in slot. Obviously, you can run Marishuse Hunter if you're using Furina, but if you're not, let's say using Banner and Shangling, for example, then this will be pretty nice generally for most players, right? Especially if you have C2 Navia, which gets like 36% crit rate through her abilities. It can be a little bit hard to build crit rate on character with Marishuse Hunter if you're using Navia with that set. So generally, this is going to be pretty nice, especially for more consistent damage, and you're not restricted to having Furina on your team. But that being said, it's also only restricted to kind of her, unless Genshin has another character in the future that's Geo, attack scaling, and also uses the skill. Now, a very similar case to the next set was released in 4.6, the Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy. This set is basically for Born of Life characters, of which we technically have 3, but this can only benefits 2, which are Chlorend and Arlecchino. Well, the 4-piece does increase damage if your Born of Life increases or decreases, which happens quite a lot with those 2 characters, up to 54% when you max out the 3 stacks, which is quite a lot of damage. That being said, both characters have very, very good alternatives. For Chlorend, for example, I think most people, including myself, like to run Chlorend with the Thundering Fury set, which obviously has been a Strongbox for a very long time. It also gives pretty good uptime on her abilities. So, you know, it's really, for me, I find it more comfortable to run Chlorend on Thundering Fury. Yes, probably this gives more damage, but if you have good substats and you just don't want to change, like, just don't bother, right? And then going back to Arlecchino, yes, Arlecchino makes use of this, and it's obviously her best in slot as well. but you may also have access to the Gladiator's Finale, which is also a pretty good set. Auto attack percent for the 2-piece, but also because Arlecchino's Polar Muser, you also get the 35% normal attack damage as well. Yes, you do lose out on, like, you know, a bit of damage bonus, but it is still a decent set to use, and especially if you have very good substats on your Gladiator's Finale. That being said, if you're a newer player, then probably this might be a more decent set, because obviously, you know, Gladiators and to a certain extent Wanderer's Troop, right? They are good sets if you play long, like myself. But if you're a newer player and don't have the, you know, you've not been farming for a very long time, the overworld and stuff, it can be a little bit hard. And then maybe like Harmonic Whimsy may be a little bit of a better alternative to maximize your kit. But at the same time, you could also Strongbox the Gladiator's Finale, so that point's kind of moot as well. But generally, it's good on arlecchino. I do have it on mine, but generally it is not the most because I don't think they're going to revisit Bond of Life again, right? If they do, then good, but if they don't, then it's going to be stuck with like just arlecchino, and that is we know where it is. That being said, being in the Strongbox obviously makes it a lot more accessible and less, like, you can focus on like your Netland sets, for example. The last one, which is the Unfinished Reverie. Now, Unfinished Reverie can be a little bit finicky depending on the character that you're using it on. Generally, what happens is that whenever you are off the 4-piece, whenever you leave combat, you need to switch off, your damage dealt increases by 50%, and then if there are no burning enemies, then the damage bonus will decrease. But when a burning opponent does exist, you increase it by 10%. So it is basically a set that, you know, if you don't have burning, you're not playing burning, and you're not keeping the uptime on burning for that long, you're not going to get the maximum 50% damage bonus. Now, who is this good for? Generally, like I said, burning teams. So your Emily obviously uses this set very, very well. Emily can still also use the Deep Wood Memories, but so that's something to consider. But this can be a little bit better. It can also be used in like Risley teams, because usually melt teams you want to run burn melt. So it's gonna be pretty nice for that, especially if you're using either Risley or Ganyu. That being said, you know, Risley, for example, can also use Marashuse, so that's pretty nice uptime for him, especially because he has his inbuilt health drain and health and healing, so it's gonna be easy for him to solo and use that mechanic for himself. So yeah, generally this is like, I would say, like, yeah, you can use this for burn melt teams, but most people will probably run this on what's her name, Emily, right? You can also use it on Kinish, but generally you will want to use the Obsidian for Kinish anyways. So that's that. So yeah, those are the 4 sets. Very, very niche as always. Like I mentioned, the sets that come after the second and third artifacts tend to be a lot more niche for the players, but it can be pretty good if you really want to hyper invest and really like go all out on those characters. Like I said, I wouldn't really recommend it. There are a lot more universal sets, especially if you're running like Furina, for example, or you have Netland characters. But these are some considerations for you to take note. And some of the 2 pieces are also pretty good, like the healing bonus and of course the attack plus 18%. So let me know in the comment sections below if you will be strongboxing for them. Like, okay, I'm not gonna strongbox this. Like for me right now, you know what? I'm going to strongbox and see what I get. Let me just find some pieces to actually strongbox. You know, let's strongbox this. I know it's double crit, but hey. Let me see. Let me find one more piece to strongbox. Holy crap! I have so many pieces that I probably should use. You know, let's strongbox this one. All right. Double crit. You know what? There is a chance. There is a chance. But that being said, really hope you guys like this video. Appreciate you dropping a like. If you like, share, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And do know that I stream live on Twitch. The link is in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.